Hello, everyone. It's Sweetness Whachacha here with the fourth episode of Chrome. So in this episode, we're going to take a look at some small upgrades and some big upgrades, as we usually do. If you're new to the show, Chrome is a term in the board gaming world used to describe something that looks cool, maybe a cool piece of art, cool component, some kind of gimmick, something that adds to the theme or your enjoyment of the game, but not because of the mechanisms. But just it's sort of superfluous, but they're usually pretty cool. So I make upgraded games or deluxe games. I do various things, and I'm here to share with other people that are like-minded because we live in an amazing time of connectivity. So hopefully I will entertain or inspire you to do your own thing or whatever. So thanks for watching. Without further ado, episode 4. Okay, so this is one that's a little more of a mainstream game, less of a gamer's game, but a lot of people, you might go on vacation and you see the little Jengas. They got the big Jenga. They usually take a 2x4 and they chop up a bunch of pieces or whatever. But I wanted a little one that was a little bigger, and so I took a larger board and cut the side off so I had a much larger piece, and I ended up with a very large Jenga indeed. So you can see a big difference. So I know that this is not necessarily a gamer's game, but I think having a large Jenga, you see the difference in size here, is pretty cool. It's pretty eye-catching and it's fun for. I'm cheating here. It's fun for a party or something. We took this to a family reunion type, not a family reunion, a 4th of July party, and I'm cheating big time here. But it was, it's fun for people to look and see. Hey, it's eye-catching for people to go by and look at. Just a word to if you're going to do this, I am nervous. I was very nervous when children were to come over because I was worried that they really wanted to play, and it's pretty big, and I was worried about it falling on someone. So you can see this design. There is a slight curve on these. I didn't have a curve on this, so I don't know. I think it maybe makes it a little more stable, and I think you can build bigger structures with it. I seem to be getting the middle ones for some reason. But this can go. I mean, I've gotten to go twice as high, which is pretty impressive and exciting. And like I say, it's a fun thing. You could also paint these. A couple of quick notes. When I did this, I had a kind of a crappy chop saw, and so when I did it. There was some deviation with that chop saw. So I have a table saw now. I would have preferred to use that. I think it would have been much more accurate. And like I said, it was fun to cut them and sand them down. You could also paint them. I had entertained an idea. There's a local farmer's market about making a whole bunch of these and painting them, different colors. But after I did the one, I was like, nope. So, hey, if you're looking for an idea, I got a local farmer's market. You're handy with wood. You can make them, paint them sports team colors, red, white, and blue, or whatever Halloween colors. That's what I would do, orange and black. So that can be kind of fun to do. But there's a lot of so it's fun. It's like a fun little thing. And spoiler, I will be doing hopefully some more giant-sized games in the future. So hopefully, like I say, has a very big appeal. Everybody wants to play a large game, so. But like I said, there you go. There's giant Jenga. Good. Okay, so what is going on with this little guy right here? Well, this is a little segment that I really hope that you don't push past. If you've enjoyed the series so far and you're watching this thing, I really hope that you watch this part here. If you're a war gamer, then you might be able to just pop by it because you probably already do this much better than I do. But this little guy is my first attempt. I could not paint. I was like, I'm never going to be able to paint. And so I tried different things, and this guy actually used marker on it. I bought a bunch of markers, and I thought, is there a way I can use markers to paint these guys? Because I don't know how to do it. And I really want to just show you some examples of some stuff that I painted, and then also to, like anything, when you know how to do it, I mean, I never thought I'd be able to paint something, and now I feel like I can do an okay job. Maybe not as good as some, but I'm happy with what I do. So I'm going to give you a little know-how on how to do it. So first of all, I'll just show you, as a board gamer, you know, there actually are a lot of fun things you can do. You know, I mean, any game that has any kind of miniature, you know, like, I mean, this is a pretty easy little job, right? Painting little ships for, you know, for merchants and marauders. You know, I mean, you know, it's kind of a fun little project, and, you know, I mean, it's not that difficult, and, you know, it's just like a fun little thing, and it can really make your game pop a whole lot more. You can bring on another much larger project, like painting up. This is just a smattering of the Lord of the Rings pieces that I have painted, just to give you an idea of some of the armies of Middle Earth. You know, just to show you, this is the first one I painted, I believe. And you may think, wow, that's, you know, if you are not a painter already, you might think, wow, that's pretty good compared to, you know, what that last one was. So I just want to go over a few things about painting real fast, just to give you an idea. And, you know, there's a wealth of information on the internet. I'll show you here. So the first thing that you'll do, there's like 10 steps, and I cannot believe how, I mean, it's so, I don't want to say it's so easy, because it does take technique and skill, and you do improve over time, but it really is amazing how you're like, I can't do this, and you're like, oh my god, I just did this. First thing is, just a few easy steps. First thing is, you take a toothbrush and some water and scrub this little guy down. You can do, you know, like I took my whole armies for Middle Earth, and I just scrubbed them all. I was watching a movie or whatever, and I just, you know, scrubbed them, rinsed them off, done. If they have any spears or anything, you can dip this in water, hot water, and then straighten it, and then put it in cold water. That's just another, as an aside, I probably shouldn't even said that. The second thing, and these may seem like so simple and easy, but I did not realize, you have to prime your minis. So you gotta just a regular spray paint primer. You can get, you can just go and get a regular paint primer or regular primer at Home Depot or whatever, and you just give them a nice even coat, you know, just, you know, don't go crazy, just, you know, over your little guys, and then they're primed. Number 3, buy a decent brush. Go get a brush for that, specifically for painting minis. I mean, it might be like a $6 or $10 brush, but I mean, I used one, I painted like, and this is just me, this is just for regular board game painting or whatever. I mean, I painted maybe 100 guys with that brush. So that's the next thing. So you get a good brush and get good paints. I bought, Games Workshop, Warhammer, that kind of thing. They have companies called Citadel. I think they make amazing paints. I think a lot of their stuff can be overpriced. I don't want to get in a big long thing about it, but I think they tend to be expensive. That hobby tends to be expensive, but I feel like their paints are definitely worth it. So some of the cheaper little paints that you get for like 60 or 80 cents in the craft store, I have not personally had good success with them. So get a few good paints. I mean, just get a good variety. And I mean, you know, you don't need every hue under the planet to, you know, to do a good job, you know, to get some variety if you pick and choose, you know, if you think about it beforehand. Then, you know, if you just paint, and if you mess up, guess what? All you got to do is paint over it. I mean, it's not really, you know, and just, you know, get a good lighting. That's one thing I have to say. Like, just get a really good light, like a desk lamp, or like I have like one of those bendy armed ones, and I hook it to a little board that I use for painting. So I just kind of sit it down and just go slow, and you know, you'd be surprised. You would really be surprised at how easy it is. Because if you make a mistake, like I say, it's just like anything. Just paint right over it. You can use a little toothpick for the eyes and stuff. And here's like the greatest thing that I learned is this thing called black wash. And you can use any kind of a wash, but you just take, and you can get it from the store. You just ask for black wash or whatever. And then you take it, and you take a brush, and you can get more, you can be very technical with it and put it in specific areas. But if you're just beginning, all you got to do is you put it over like the entire model. You just slop it on like a maniac. If it's pooled up in areas, I would recommend, you know, taking a little Q-tip and kind of sponging it up. But you know, it fills in these little spots that you don't, you know, in the eyes and these little areas, and it creates kind of shadows and things. And you might think like, you know, and when you're like, oh, that's very, very detailed little things there, but it's just, I mean, all that is blackwash. I mean, it's sort of like, see, like in this hair here, you can see in the hair, you know, that you can see the lines in there. Well, that's just blackwash. I mean, I didn't paint in that would, I mean, that's crazy. So it's kind of like a little cheat. So it's kind of a fun, I mean, it's a cool little thing. I will say, though, if you're going to decide to paint something, you should paint it to have fun with it. I mean, you shouldn't paint because you think like, and incidentally, these are the first minis I've done. I've kind of gotten a little sharper, you know, since then. But you know, if you're gonna paint though, especially a project like this, you should paint it to be. I have to finish some of these bases here, by the way. You know, if you're gonna paint, you should paint because you want to do it and you want to have fun and you know, listen to. You know, I like to listen to. I listen to the Dice Tower podcast, or I listen to Hardcore History. That's one of my favorites. And you know, and I'll just listen in, you know, or audiobook and paint while you're doing that. And paint because you want to do it and because it's fun. If you paint because you feel like you want to be done, you're probably not going to enjoy yourself, and it's going to take you a lot longer, and you're not going to probably be happy with the process rather. This project I haven't even finished. I don't know as I'll ever be able to play War of the Ring, but you know, just in terms of like finding players to play something like this. But I'm just taking my time painting through the armies. I've gotten through probably half of the armies in this box, and it's just kind of a fun thing to go through and do. So you know, I'm glad. I hope you watched this, and I'm glad you did. If you did, because there's like I said, there's just a few steps. It can be quite an enjoyable time. If you like just to go through them again, brush them off because the factory comes with like chemicals on there, so that'll hurt you. Brush them off with soap and water. Prime them. Buy a decent brush. Get some decent paints. Have some patience. Listen to something. Watch something. Whatever. And then if you mess up, just go right back over it. And then once it's dry, put on that black wash. And, you know, I think you'd be very surprised. So I hope that you check it out because, like I said, these are, I mean, I painted a lot of the various minis in my games or whatever. I just wanted to put a few out here to show you. But it can be a very fun, very fun project. And, you know, I just think in terms of, like, you know, putting these guys on the board fighting each other, you know, for the fate of Middle Earth, I think looks like brings it to life a lot more. You know, and it's fun. I think this is a fun kind of a little, you know, project to have for a rainy day or whatever. So, hope you enjoyed this segment. Okay, so we've taken a look at some small and large ways to upgrade your games. That I've upgraded my games, and so now here we are to look at the big shiny chrome version of to end the show this time. This week we're going to take a quick look. It's not a really long look, but a quick look at the Battle at Campbell's Cascade. Okay, which is a game put out by Z-Man. That sort of, as I say always, this is not a review. I don't review the games. I kind of am understanding that maybe you've seen the game already since this is a gamers type thing. But just to remind you, maybe if you've forgotten or whatever, I do like to point out just a couple things about the components. This game is about kind of like the old arcades, and you have these trays of cards, and I just dropped them since I'm holding them vertically, and you have to, you know, you take the bottom one off, add in new cards, you know, put it up top, add in new cards, so you're kind of creating this scrolling board. You're always getting rid of the lower board and adding a new board on top. So that's kind of what that game's about. And of course, you're flying your little spaceship around there and shooting at things like, you know, like Space Invaders or, you know, a game of that ilk. So without further ado, here is Battle at Campbell's Cascade, shiny and chrome. Okay, so here's Campbell's Cascade. I was kind of going for that like Pac-Man table thing, you know, like where you have the Pac-Man and it's like a plexiglass and the wooden on the bottom type thing. So you know, you'd move up, you know, up the board or whatever. You're going through the levels, and then each side has one of these, so you can kind of put your finger in and curl it, and then those cards would go off the board, and you can just scoop them up, and that automatically would go down, so you could add the next row on there. It's pretty convenient, huh? And of course, as you go through the game, you know, it makes it very easy. And, you know, instead of swapping those things around, I don't know if it makes it easier or not, but and then a little snack area. I kind of want to emulate like an arcade's carpet or whatever, and so I had to find a fabric. I couldn't find carpeting, so I found a fabric, and I put, you know, I just spray adhesive it and put it on this board, so it kind of has that same feel Yeah, and so that's a little snack area here, or whatever. Your little player boards with the joystick and the buttons there. So that's Battle at Campbell's Cascade. It's kind of a quick look. I'll do my hindsight and future sight now instead of cutting away here. But there's a lot there's a lot more I could have done for this. A whole lot more. First of all, this here, I could have done a stiffer fabric. I think that would have been better because it would have, you see some wrinkles in here. I would have liked to have done a plexi on the top, or lights. Lots of lights would have been great. Maybe a standing arcade over here, something else, to make this raised up a little better. There's really this one had a lot I could have done.